So the last time I posted a Strand Warlock build was around 16 months ago. Geez, that's a long time. That should tell you that for me to post a Strand Warlock build means I think pretty highly of it. In the first part of the gameplay that I am showing you guys, it's Mythic content, so we're minus 50 power level in here. And just wait until we get to the gameplay about halfway through, where I am 20 to 30 power level under. I can't wait for you to see it. I actually struggled deciding which one to show first, and that's a good thing. So if you guys set this build up correctly, I think you will have some of the most fun you have ever had on a Strand Warlock, and it really helped me enjoy a different playstyle on Warlock than I am used to. We have Restoration ×2 or ×1 up all the time, along with a Cure ×3 every 5 seconds or so. Cure ×3 makes you immune to damage for a second, and is basically a full heal, especially combined with Restoration, so it's strong. Then we have Woven Mail up as well now for a 45% damage reduction, thanks to the ability to be able to create Orbs of Power now on demand, which we couldn't previously do in hard content. So if you combine any form of healing in Restoration and Cure with the Woven Mail damage reduction, you have made yourself pretty dang tanky. What makes this build function so well now in Edge of Fate is the changes to the stat system and what that opens up for us on the Strand Warlock abilities. As you can see, our Grapple Grenade is the main ability we're choosing to enhance, and it's the catalyst for everything working so well. We set it up so we get it back in about 5 seconds, which means anything that procs off of it is triggering every 5 seconds or so. This includes the Unravel debuff, Threadlings with their 33% increase in damage because we're on Strand, Grenade regen that we get for dealing damage, a Orb of Power for getting melee kills, which in turn give us Woven Mail, and then Restoration for getting melee kills and Cure for getting melee kills. It works so well thanks to the new Grenade stat. I had 187 Grenade in this gameplay, and that's really the only stat you should focus on at first, which I am sure a lot of you Warlocks already have the Grenader armor slotted in your Ghost mod, so you probably have pretty good Grenade already. If you get close to 200 Grenade, it allows our grapple to hit 65% harder. By buffing its damage, we can kill things now in difficult content, so we need to get it back as fast as we can and stay alive while using it. Also remember that you can always grapple to your tangles you create. This doesn't take your grapple charge away, and for me personally, I needed to remember that more myself these days when I see a tangle to just grapple to it and use that tangle over and over. Now we're buffing grapple with the Mind Spun invocation aspect. Your grapple melee spawns 3 Threadling eggs. These just pop out Threadlings, and we pair that with Thread of Evolution. Threadlings travel further and deal additional damage. They deal 33% more damage, they move 30% faster, and travel further. And Threadlings actually do decent damage if you can create a lot of them, and our melee is creating 3 every time. So every 5 seconds, that's just Threadlings going out. Now we also pair the Fragment Thread of Generation with this. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. The more damage we deal with abilities or weapons, the faster our grenade comes back. With the new stat system, Thread of Generation actually feels really good on any Strand subclass across all 3 characters. I think it was one of the fragments that needed the help the most, and it definitely did that. We'll also add in Thread of Warding, of course. Picking up an Orb of Power grants Woven Mail. This does only last 5 seconds, and that's why we want to cycle back to that grapple punch as quick as we can, because it guarantees us an orb and guarantees us Woven Mail. And for the last fragment, we'll add in Thread of Finality. You could swap this out for something else that you want, but it is Finisher Final Blows create Threadlings. How many Threadlings this creates is based on the enemy that you finish, and so a lot of times you'll see yellow bars that you finish, it'll pop out 3 or 4 Threadlings from them, which is great because they get that extra damage. And Finishers plays into our exotic in a second. For the weapons, definitely take a Mint Retrograde. It's the Strand Rocket Pulse. You guys know how strong this thing is this season, but since it puts out so much extra damage, that plays into Thread of Generation. By dealing damage, we get more grenade energy coming back. And then the other 2 weapons are up to you. Solar weapons do feel really good with the artifact perk called Cauterize Darkness. Strand debuff, combatants take increased solar damage. This is a 30% damage buff to your solar weapons. When you're shooting something that is unraveled, and the way we have the build set up, they will always be Strand debuffed. And then you should also take Shield Crush in that artifact. While you have Woven Mail, your melee recharges faster and deals increased damage. Now we pair all this with the exotic Karnstein armlets. I've done a couple builds in the past with these, and I still love these gauntlets. The perk on here is Vampire's Caress. Melee and Finisher Final Blows instantly grant Cure and provide Restoration for a short duration. The Restoration lasts 8 seconds, so it's plenty of time for us to reproc this. A melee kill grants Cure ×3 and Restoration ×1. So anytime we grapple in, you Cure ×3 and get Restoration ×1 for 8 seconds. If you finish something, You'll still get a cure ×3, but you'll also proc restoration ×2, which is technically even stronger. You pair all that with Woven Mail, you're healing up so easily. I tried Verity's Brow with the build, and I just didn't have the survivability I needed, and I didn't need the extra damage from Verity's Brow since we got our grenade stat up high enough, and it's hitting pretty well already. The only other stats I had in the gameplay that you're watching is I did have 100 super. This is definitely not needed, but that was just the other stat that I happened to build into with my armor, because most of my armor was the Grenader armor, which is grenade is your highest stat and super is your second stat. Speaking of the new Strand Rocket Pulse in your primary slot, I wanted to show you what it would do just over here in the shooting range, is when you're dealing damage with it because it hits so hard, look how much it's proccing Threat of Generation in the bottom left for our grapple grenade. This is right after I grappled and melee something. You've normally killed something, right? So you're proccing your healing with restoration, you're grabbing the orb for Woven Mail, and then you're turning and looking at something that's a higher priority target, using that Rocket Pulse, and then it just instantly refills your grenade ability. Then you just go back to that ability loop and start having a great time with this build. Now for mods on the build, these are pretty important. On the helmet, take an Ashes to Assets, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. This plays right into our grapple. And then on the gauntlets, take 2 heavy-handeds. Your powered melee final blows create orbs of power. I take 2 of these because it makes me spawn an orb of power every 5 seconds. I need that orb of power for Woven Mail, and I am grappling pretty dang often, especially if I'm using a tangle, so you want to make sure you're creating a new orb every 5 seconds to pick it up, and a lot of times you just pick that up automatically because you end up being right exactly where you grappled melee something, right? So the orb just pops out and you grab it. On the chest piece, take your damage reduction, and then I also liked a Strand ammo generation here for that Rocket Pulse Rifle. On the boots, I took an Innervation, reduce grenade cooldown when picking up an orb of power, and Absolution, reduce all ability cooldowns when picking up an orb of power, just to help feed that grenade back, and you should be grabbing that orb of power when you melee something. And then for the third mod there, I took a Strand Scavenger. Again, just to get more ammo back in that Rocket Pulse because it's so strong. On the class item, the 2 important ones are Special Finisher. Every time you pick up one of those orbs of power, which is at least every 5 seconds, you're getting an armor charge. When you have 3 armor charges and you finish something, which you should be finishing things because it gives you restoration ×2 from our exotic, and it pops out threadlings from our fragment, you'll also pop out a special ammo brick for your Strand weapon, which again plays into Strand Scavenger and goes right back into that Rocket Pulse. And then I liked Proximity Ward here as well, gain a powerful overshield while performing your finisher. It's a 200 HP overshield, and it allows you to make sure that you're alive while you're finishing something to get that cure and restoration ×2 off. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a different way to play Strand, and I was really excited to show this one off to you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.